Guess who's here? Marion Swingler, your host. Confident You podcast, back here in this space, in this time. Thank you for joining us. Confident You. Listen, today was a milestone. Today, in my lifetime, I couldn't believe it. A president was indicted. A former president was indicted. I just wanted to say that because I couldn't really wrap my mind around it. It has nothing to do with what we're talking about in this episode. It just blew my mind. I'm just saying. All right, so next. If you are looking for a photographer or that special event, listen, if you just had a baby and you're thinking, man, I would love to get some amazing photos. I would love to get a portfolio for my child. I want to make sure that whoever takes these pictures has compassion. That's what you'll get with Tanya Stokes and her team of Compassionate Design. They will come in and make sure that the experience is more than what you expected. And also, by mentioning Marion of Confident You podcast sent you, you'll get a great discount. Just check the description box. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And subscribe to the channel. Do all of the YouTubey things. All right, so in this episode, I have the honor and the privilege of bringing someone back. Listen, she was in episode 8, and it was about the power of words. The power of your words are very, very powerful. It's life and death are in the power of your tongue. That's Proverbs 18:21. And who we have here with us tonight, she says, wait a minute, I actually have something even more significant in terms of it's not so broad. She has niched down and found something that I think everyone can benefit from. Did you read the title of this episode? I'm going to let her explain everything and more, because if you're having issues going, I earned money, but where did it go? What did I do? How did that happen? Wait, so I keep doing this process to make money, but I turn around and I don't have any money. She's here to tell us 17 ways that actually happens and help us figure out how to make this situation much better. So bringing back from episode 8 into this episode 23, the one and only, always privileged to have in my presence, Akyiaa Azula.
Hey, how you doing, Marion? Hey, I am so glad to be back.
My gosh, my goodness.
You have a Korean accent, lady. You are so expressive with your facial expressions. I love it.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness.
Thank you.
I'm so happy to be back here.
Yes.
And
I'm honored.
I knew the title was a little bit spicy, and I've been working with so many people. And one of the things that I've been able to do is pinpoint the root cause of why someone is blocked at any area in their life. And what I have found is that there are 4 major areas. Like I've worked with all types of cases, you name them. But what I have found is that most things that people come to me for fall in 4 key areas. And the key areas is, I call it 1, areas of the mind. So when I say the mind, I'm talking about those core beliefs that you have, that you know, how you put meaning to your life, how you judge things, your relationships with people, the environment, your family. So I classify that as things that have to do with the mind.
Yes.
Then the next area is body or health, because I am an acupuncturist, so people come to me because they have problems with their health. But a lot of the health issues is stemming from issues going on within their mind. So those 2 things go hand in hand. So for many, many years, I worked with people looking at the connection between their mind and their body and how they both affect each other. then I would notice people would always come to me because they had a lot of financial issues. They didn't come to me because I'm not a financial planner. I don't work in the financial industry, but they would come to me because they had physical ailments. They had medical issues. And when we dug down deep to find out what was wrong with them, it was normally a financial issue. Let me give you a good example. When I was teaching at the acupuncture college, there was a young man that came to me, and he was a very, very good, he's one of the top students, really good in the clinic. But he had a patient that had lower back pain and sciatica. The person could not get this man's pain down past 6 out of 10. So it's like it's like he got him down from a 9 to a 6, which was good, but he couldn't get him below a 6. So I looked at the chart and I read everything, and I'm like, well, you're doing all the right things, but because I knew the relationship between the mind and the body, and I'm looking at it and I said, well, it's lower back pain and sciatic pain. What I find when people have lower back and sciatic pain, it usually has to do with issues around money. And so think about this. Where do you put your wallet?
Hold on. I just want to let you know, I was sitting here wondering, I'm like, what does this have to do with money? You're seriously saying that the lower back pain,
a lot of times,
was connected,
especially if you're treating it, you're getting medical treatment, whether you're getting medication, you're getting acupuncture, chiropractic, you name it, you're getting it treated, massage therapy, all of these various things, physical therapy, and it doesn't resolve. So one of the things that I have found when I started looking at the connection between the mind and the body, one of the things I saw was lower back pain a lot of times have to do with people going through financial issues. So I asked the young man, I said, go back in the treatment room and ask this gentleman, is he having any financial issues right now? He came back. He said, oh my God, the minute I said, are you having financial issues? He told me this was around the 2008 era. He had 4 investment properties. They were all under foreclosure. He was going through bankruptcy. And the stress of all of that impacted his lower back. So just think about it. Where do men put their wallets? Right back here. So your brain and your body analyze things and associate things. So you associate that with anything that has to do with your resources. So if you think about your hips, your pelvic areas, your buttocks, your legs, all of those things have to do with your foundation of your body.
Yes.
Right? Think about, you give childbirth there, protection, survival, all of that, reproduction, all of that takes place in that part of your body. So when you think about things to do with survival, and money is very big on survival. This is how we survive. We need money to survive in this society, this world. Someone said something to me that I thought was interesting. I think I was listening to a TED Talk. And I said, that makes the most sense. This gentleman said, the only thing that the entire world agrees on is money. He said, we don't agree on nothing else. We don't agree on religion. We don't agree on politics. We don't agree on culture, music, nothing else. The only thing that the entire world is in unanimous agreement on is money.
What do you mean by in unanimous agreement on what about money?
Okay, so then the entire world agrees that they need money to survive. They need money as a resource.
That money is a resource, yes.
Money is a resource. So all your resources have to do with money. So if you think about everything else, we will disagree on everything else, but we'd always come to an agreement when it comes to money, whether it's to trade something, whether
even the Amish.
It doesn't matter what your religion is. We all agree that we need money in order to function in this world.
Yeah.
That's a worldwide agreement. And I thought about it when he said it. I said, he's right. We all agree that we need money in order to survive and make it in this world. So money is one of the other factors that I saw.
So I will say that is a strong, I will not say 100%, because there are certain countries where, well, no, they do need money. They don't have money.
They don't have money. But just to think of building infrastructure, you need money.
Yes.
Whatever you do, even if you're doing farming, you got to go buy seeds or fertilizer. You could live off the grid, but you're going to need money to get certain things.
Yes.
It doesn't matter what situation you're in, money factors into that on some level. And then the fourth thing that I found that impacted people, what had to do with their purpose. So when I look at purpose, I look at business, your career, your job, your employment, all of that falls under that whole segment of what I call business / purpose. So those 4 areas, your mind, your body, your money, and your business, were the 4 areas that I always see people, it'll always boil down to one of those areas, whatever was going on with a person, if they weren't dealing with an actual physical problem. And what I found with most adults, not children, and I work with animals, not animals. If a child, let's say a child has a pain in their shoulder or animal hurt their leg, that's all that's going on. There's nothing else going on with them except I hurt my leg. But if we're adults, we have all of these other associations why we hurt, why we feel that we're in pain. It could be past trauma. It could be a plethora of things. And so my thing is to always find out, okay, what's the root cause? What's really bothering this person? And when I look at things like, we're reading a book in our group, and the book is good, but because of all the clinical and research background that I have, I get frustrated reading the book because the author, she mentions a lot of research within the book, but she doesn't go in depth into any of the research. So I get frustrated because I'm like, oh, maybe she's going to, really talk about this and we'll get like a real nugget out of that. She mentions it, but she doesn't go in depth. And I'm like, because for me to work with someone, I am always thinking, okay, what is the actual root? So some of the suggestions that she gives in the book, they do work, because I'm familiar with a lot of suggestions she gives, but I call it like, some people say Band-Aid, but I call it like weed whacking.
Okay.
Like they come out, they cut your lawn, they weed whack it. It looks really good
for a time.
But then those roots will go up. The work that I do called creation, I would say more like us pulling it out at the roots. So if you want your garden to be weed free, you got to go out there and you got to yank those roots out, dirt, roots, everything, and throw that out and go yank some more out. And what happens when we start yanking things out at the root? One, it normally doesn't grow back, and all the other little baby weeds that was feeding from that root system doesn't get a chance to grow. So a lot of times when I work with people with creation, they tell me, you know what? Like I had a young lady, she took a class that I just taught. It was called Creation for Money and Purpose. And
Hold on.
Okay.
You had a class called Creation
for Money
and Purpose.
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to create?
Everything that I do, I get like a download. I'm getting like, go ahead and teach the class. At first, I thought I was going to do this class because the reason why that weighed heavy on my heart, I have trained so many students over the years. I've met so many super talented people, not just in my field, not just in the medical field. I've met people that are super talented in so many areas. And I'm like, oh my gosh, the world is waiting on you. This gift, this talent that you have, the world is waiting to experience you. And they're terrified to show up as themselves in the world. So the reason I had the class called Money and Purpose, I had to dig in and find out, why do you have this phenomenal talent, but you're afraid to use it? So one, I find they're afraid. They can't figure, well, it's easy for me to do it, so it can't be valuable. Nobody's going to want to pay me for something that I could easily do. Right? Because the concept is you have to work hard for your money. That's one of the 17 ways, right?
Okay. Yes.
It's a thought. You have to work hard for your money.
Yes.
So because this is easy for me to do,
right?
Who's going to pay me for something so you devalue it?
That's amazing. That's amazing. I really want to speak right here, because it's amazing that other people, it's for me more times than not, other people see your talents and your gifts before you do. Now, I'm not excluding Joseph in the Bible, who knew, he dreamed, he saw it. But for most people who don't dream like that, they don't see that what they do is special. So how do you help people see that they're special and unique?
All right. So I beg to differ that they don't know. The truth is that they do know. Okay. So most people think a purpose is something that they have to struggle with, because somehow we were taught your purpose means that now, I have to be in a small boat rolling down the Great Gambezi River with mosquitoes stinging me, because they think it's going to be.
It has to be a huge sacrifice.
It has to be, it's got to be this hard grind. For some reason, people have been given this image that that's what purpose means. No, purpose is the thing that comes the easiest to you. It's like second nature to you. It's the thing that you do. You don't even have to think about it to do it. And it's the thing that when you do it, it makes you the most happiest and it energizes you. That's your purpose.
Yes.
Because God didn't put you here to do all this struggle and all this hardship. We've been given that ideology. I remember when I was teaching Creation for Manifesting Miracles. It was a master class that I did for 9 weeks. And one of the things they said, why are people, struggling, like have all this fear about themselves and struggle? And they said, oh, that's just good marketing. And when I say they, when I speak, I listen. I'm always listening. And it's like, well, there's a chorus of angels I'm listening to. I'm always listening and hearing. And what they said it's good marketing. They said the powers that be, the people that want to be in control and in power, they market and they tell you it's a form of indoctrination where you hear the same thing over and over. So you're taught and told from the time you're very small.
Yeah.
It's this. So when, like, a lot of our issues around money are not even our own ideas about money. Where do we get all the ideas we get about money? Either they were ideas that your parents taught you about money, had nothing to do with what you really thought about it. So you watch mom, so that's another of the ways money messes up, right? You watch mom, how she handled money, you watch dad, how he handled money, and you formulated, well, this is how money needs to be handled.
See, and I think that I need to touch on this something else. You said that we learn by watching our mom and dad. And the thing is, I don't even think that we're consciously.
Oh, you're not conscious of it. But you're taking everything in.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I believe that you're absorbing what's going on around you and coming to your own conclusion.
So if you have a family, think about it. If you had I think Donald Trump is a great example to talk about money and family. So he grew up as a rich kid, and his father was in real estate, made a lot of money. So he grew up, like he said, with a silver spoon in his mouth. Okay, who do you know have gone bankrupt 6 or 7 times and still make money, and is bankrupt and owe money and still flowing with the money? Because the way he was trained and conditioned around money, like, money is there. Money is there for me to use. Money is no big deal. There was no struggle in his mind around money. So we may look at it and say, oh, he's been bankrupt. For most people, they're bankrupt. They're devastated, like the man I was talking about with the lower back pain. Once we started addressing his money issues and the financial issues, that intern was able to get his back pain from a 6 down to a 2 or a 1.5. The only time it would flare up was when he had to go see his bankruptcy attorney. It would go up to like a 4. So that's the association. So it's all of the ways that we process around money. So it has nothing to do with money. Think about it. Money is just basic math. It's literally 3rd grade math. It's addition and subtraction. You make money. You know that, okay, let's say nobody's making $100, but just use it because that's simple to factor in. I make $100, but most people are making $100 and spending $125 or $150. Right? That math doesn't add up. If you did that on a math test, it'll be wrong. If you make $100 and you have to spend some money, you got to be 100 or less. And if you want some money at the end of it, you guys spend less than 100. That's just basic math. But people struggle with that, and it has nothing to do with the money itself. It has to do with our relationship to the money.
My
It has
God.
to do with our consciousness around the money.
Yes.
And so that's what I'm actually working with people. And my thing is not so much identifying the problems, is finding a way to get you to clear up those problems permanently, so you don't have to deal with that issue any longer.
Okay, you said relationship with money. So what is the difference in dealing with money and the relationship with money?
Okay. Dealing with money and relationship with money is basically the same thing. You deal with money based on the way you perceive money. You deal with money based on the way you feel about yourself. So if you're feeling really good about yourself, it feels like things flow better in your life, and you'll notice even money starts to flow better in your life. When you start feeling down and you contract yourself and you draw into yourself, or maybe some people go into depression, everything is stagnant, nothing is moving. And they also notice all of a sudden the relationship with money, their money also stops flowing and moving.
So you're saying relationship with money. Do you feel as though, or do you think as though that the relationship with money also bleeds into other areas? Like relationship with people, relationships, everything.
That's why when that gentleman said on that TED Talk that money is the only thing we all actually agree upon, we don't agree upon anything else, it bleeds into every other aspect of your life. Even like most marriages, they break down a lot of times over money more than anything else. There could be cheating, there could be this, but a lot of reasons why relationships and money break down as far as couples is usually have some financial factor involved.
Mm-hmm.
People will even stay in a marriage because of financial factors. Those type of decisions, they could be very unhappy.
Yes.
But they would stay there, and it's not working on any level, but they will stay there because money means security.
Ma'am, you are being extremely rude right now. I just want you to
know. When I work with people, I'm like, no judgment at all. We just got to get down. We're pulling up some weeds here. We're yanking these weeds out of the ground. If that is the reason that you're having all these issues while you have to walk into my office, or, now that I work remotely, get on a Zoom call with me or get on the phone with me.
Right.
I'm here to waste your time. I'm here like, let's yank these weeds out now. Because you've been walking around with them too long. It's taking up too much of your time. And the reason why I am about speed is because all of these things, it may be an interesting discussion, but all of these things are nothing but a distraction. If it's stopping you from fulfilling the purpose, that light that you're here to shine in the world, that, you came here to shine your light brightly in the world and, inspire other people or be a light for other people, whatever you came here to do, anything that's stopping you from doing that is a distraction.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at money as one of the distractions. So let's yank that weed up and figure out, okay, you got this weird relationship to money. Let's get to the root of what that is, pull that weed up so you can go on and do what you came here to do. So that's the work of creation that I do. All I know is that I got to get people on their path. I got to get them to do what they came here to do. That's what creation is really all about. So the things that I'm talking about is some of the things, like in medicine, we'll say they're the pathology. In this text, I'm saying it's more like a distraction, because it keeps you, it's like you're going around here in this weird little loop all the time, and you can't get out of that loop. And I'm saying, hey, you're in this loop. Okay, it's because of this. Let's just pull this plug out of here. Now you could get off this merry-go-round. You could step off.
Wow.
And now you could get on the path of what you were intended to do. That's why I look at them more of a distraction.
Okay. So I'm definitely understanding everything that you're saying, because it's just leaping in me, going back to the Garden of Eden, because money wasn't a factor, but they had everything. They had
all the resources they need.
All the resources that they need were at their disposal.
Yeah. And to get resources now, money is the thing between you and the resources that you need in this day and time.
Yeah.
Whereas before, like when we were hunter gatherers, when we were, starting agriculture and all of that, you didn't need money. But then the barter and the money system really came when we started to domesticate animals. Because when you were a hunter gatherer, you just wandered around and ate, you like a bird or a little duck
Rabbit.
walking around. You just kind of walked around and ate whatever you found. So money did not factor in a hunter-gatherer society. Money started factoring in when we domesticated animals. Because in order to domesticate an animal, what do you need in order for that to happen? You need land, all of a sudden. You didn't need land before. Now you have to have property. You have to have ownership of land. And it blows people's minds when I say it, because I remember a philosophy professor said this, and I was a little bit taken aback when he said this. But I went and I did the research, and he was correct. Because he wouldn't have been my philosophy professor if he wasn't. But he made this statement, and he says, what we consider as marriage and monogamous marriage really only came about because of domestication of animals. This is like I said, so we'll get into this, because this is another 17 ways about money. Domestication of animals is what brought about monogamous marriage. Because if you're just wandering around, just eating whatever you want to eat, stopping and sleeping wherever you want to sleep, there is no real structure. Now you have animals, you have herds, you need land, and you need to fence off this land. So war came. I'm going to fight with you about you on my property. You took my animals. That's when all of that contention came about. And you also, now that men owned property, they wanted to ensure what? What do you think men want to ensure if they have a lot of property to pass on?
They want to ensure, and say it again, what do men want to ensure?
Men want to make sure about if you have property to pass on.
That who they're passing it on to knows how to take care of it.
They want to make sure that's their kid.
Oh,
ask any man. Okay, so when you were a hunter-gatherer, think about it. When you were it didn't matter whose kid it was. No, because you didn't own anything. Now all of a sudden you have this property, and you want to make sure. I want to make sure that she has. I'm passing that on to my son, not Johnny's son.
Yeah, that I'm leaving it in my bloodline.
Exactly. So there was no such thing as bloodline before this happened. And so I went and I did the research, and he was correct. So all of a sudden now you have property. So you had domestication of animals, and not only were animals domesticated, women had to be domesticated. So what do you call your house? What do you call, she does domestic work. It's a house. So we use the same language. And we had cattle, but then women were thought of as chattel because you were property. You could be traded. I'm just telling you, this is the reason why I'm saying this is one of the other things about money. So when we live in a society where women, you have to make sure this is your kid, so you couldn't have any power, and you could not have your own property and resources, because then why would you need the guy? So what happened, think about back in the ages, women were not allowed to own property.
Correct.
Why? It's like, hey, we had to make sure that this daughter and this went to this guy, and we made sure that we had to check she was a virgin to make sure that that was our kid. That's really what it was. Who was going to inherit property rights? So you became a property of the marriage. So that's, and I'm not saying this to put down, but one of the other ways that money is messed up for people is that if you're a woman, you're going to have a lot more struggle with money, because you have thousands of years of this construct and this concept around women and money. Women only maybe over the last 50 or 60 years could do certain jobs. You didn't have a woman who was a boss. You didn't have a woman who was a doctor. You didn't have a woman that worked for the police or the fire department. You didn't have a woman that could work in government. You had to stay in your place. And there were certain roles that you could do as a woman. So think about women and money. Why women are economically, women make like what, 70 cents every dollar man makes. He makes somewhere around 70 something, 80 cents. If that. So
If
then
that.
over time, you get what I'm saying.
Yeah,
so
there wasn't a big shift in America until war, until men went off to war, and then women they needed that workforce. And then it was like they came back and they wanted to kick us out.
Yeah. It and then a lot of things was women couldn't do certain jobs until probably like the 80s or the 90s. You saw women in certain positions. So it's not that long ago.
Right. I want to ask a question. So you said that there weren't women. How do you explain Queen of Sheba?
Queen of Sheba was a different time. That was a bloodline thing, that she was the queen. So there was no king to take that place. Then a woman would take the place. It was like whoever was the next in line. And then you had certain cultures and certain societies where a woman could be in rulership in certain cultures. If you look at, say, African cultures, even you look at the American Indian cultures, there wasn't a pushback on women having power on that sense. You could have a woman's council.
Right.
So they did have those things, but if we're looking more of Western culture,
right,
which we are all under the umbrella of Western culture,
yes,
then you find that it was a no-no. Women, no, you're not allowed.
I just wanted to make sure that those spotlights didn't get missed, because there were some. So I just wanted to make sure
you have to look at
that was stated.
Because if you look at the extremely patriarchal cultures, no.
Right. So you're saying women
did not start out patriarchal.
Right. So I get back to where you were talking about how women are underpaid and undervalued.
And so what happens when I meet women who are super talented and have all of this to offer the world, they are afraid to talk about money. They are afraid to ask for money. And if they ask for money, they ask for less than what their services actually cost. And I always see women always underprice themselves. Because we had an exercise in our group. Mm-hmm. And our David, who runs our group, he asked a question about, well, how much does your service cost? And there was a young man, and he said, this price. And everybody's like, is that the right? And he said it without blinking an eye. He did not bat an eye. He said it with assurance. My price is this. And everybody's like, are you sure that's the right price? And it was a very high price.
Right.
The woman came on afterwards, and he asked her, well, what's your price? And she's stammering and blah, blah, because of how we have women and the consciousness that we have as women overall, that it's not cool. It's not kosher. I've had women, because this is another way, I don't want to make more money than my man makes because I don't want him to be upset. That's another way our money gets messed up. So if you have a job where for some reason you earn more than your male partner, that's, and I had a woman that she would like put the brakes on her job when she saw her income going to a certain level. And I asked her, I said, what are you doing? And it came out that, well, I'm a Christian. I want to be a good wife. And the husband is the head of the household. And because all of these things impact our relationship with money. So she would make sure that she would earn less money. And I had to clear her around that. And I did, and she was okay with money. But you know what was funny? Her husband came in as a client, and he said, oh my God, let her make as much money as she wants. It was not a problem for him. But some men, it is a problem for.
Yeah. Yes.
So you see, that's why I'm saying it has nothing to do with money itself. It's all these other factors that we're dealing with.
You just said an amazing factor. You said that she said she was a Christian. Mm-hmm. And that's why she wanted to make sure she stayed in a position of him being the head of the household, with her having the understanding that the head of the household makes the most money, makes all the decisions and everything like that, those things. The fact that you said that she was a Christian and that's what she noted lets me know that she learned this.
Mm-hmm. So we learn things, like I said, a lot of relationship. She learned this, whether it's societal, because you look at church as part of our society.
Yes.
So you have your family's relationship to money that you've learned. You've also learned what society tells you. You learn what media tells you. Like media will say, oh, the markets are bad. Doesn't mean anything's going to go on with your money, but you heard, oh my God, the market's bad. There's inflation. You already start to create the scenario that my money is not going to be messed up.
Yeah.
And nothing really happened with your money and the reason why these things happen with money, Marian, is because money has to do with the energy and the thoughts and the emotions and the feelings that we have. It's just a reflection of that.
Oh my God. So can you give me just a moment? I'll be right back with you. I just have to do something really, really quick. All right, everyone, if you have a business and you're looking to triple those sales, I have someone for you that is able to teach you the mastery of tripling your sales in your business. That's something I would think that if you were in business, you want to see it grow. If you've hit that peak and you feel like I can't go any further, or you're just starting and you're not really sure how to approach sales, this is the person for you. His name is Eric F. King. He was here on Confident You podcast, so go back and check out that episode. But Eric is an amazing coach, financial coach in the realm of teaching you to triple your sales. And you can reach him. The information will be in the description box, but you can reach him at exceptionalnetworkers.com. You have to excuse me. I'm used to just saying the compassionatecloser.com. So when I read that, it kind of threw me off. All right. So there we are. Please make sure you reach out to Eric. And he's also giving a free ebook and masterclass. If you go to that website there, he'll be able to assist you with that. Now, let's get back into this. Quite interesting, bringing back to the platform Miss Azula. Listen, of Azula Creations. Can you, because we were talking about the 17, it hit me that you didn't say the 3, the 10, the 5, the 20. You literally listed out that there are 17. Can you say what those 17 ways that we kind of bleep up our money?
Okay. So the 17 ways is more of I group them, categorize the 17 ways in different aspects of money. So we talked about one of the ways was the family, because we probably don't have the time to go over every 17 ways, and listing them probably won't make any, we wouldn't have the time to really go in depth into them.
Okay.
So one of the things that I categorize is, okay, all the things you learned about money from your family. Mm-hmm. So you have your familial relationship with money. That familial relationship could also go into generations and your bloodline. Mm-hmm. So, for instance, I had a client and she had this thing about money that went through her bloodline, and it was all about hardship. So everything that was, and the reason this thing with hardship came about was that she was the side that lost the war. So if there's, like history, we learn about the victor. Whoever won writes the history. So what happens to the people that didn't win the war? So she had this consciousness of generations that passed through the bloodline of, we lost the war, so the hardship that you face when you lose the war, and you either a prisoner of war, you become the slave, you become the servant, you become all of these things because you lost. So she had that pattern because, like we said, all of this has to do with energy. So she had this energetic pattern that flowed through her bloodline. throughout her family that we had to clear it up. Right after we cleared it up, she got two big job opportunities came in for her, like almost immediately as soon as we cleared up that specific pattern. So
Okay.
one has to do with family
Uh-huh.
and generational things. Like people say, "Oh, there's a generational curse
Right.
on my money." It's not so much that it's the generational curse, because a curse is a very specific thing. What it is a generational pattern or a consciousness that flows throughout that generation. So however your grandmother did something, your mother did it that way, you did it that way, your daughter's doing it that way. So it has more to do with that consciousness. It's not really a curse. A curse is
Okay.
very specific. It's like somebody says something and did something bad to you and cursed you and your generation. That's a very specific factor. That's a curse.
Okay.
That's why I made the distinction.
Okay.
And then the next thing is what society tells you, like we talked about women. So
Yes.
society tells women, stay in your place. You have this specific role. You need this. Make yourself pretty so you get a guy to take care of you. It's like that impacts how you relate to money. So
Yes.
even being a woman in society can impact your money. In the course, we'll even go into if you're a specific race. So seeing yourself as a victim of the circumstances that you live under also impacts your money. And these things, I'm not saying them because they don't have some context or maybe historical value, because they do. Like people aren't crazy, like
Right.
things, like we're not saying, oh, these things aren't happening, you're just making them up out of
I
whole
get it.
cloth. What we're saying to people is that, yeah, there are some factors that factor into it. So it's not just that you have this random thought and it's all your fault and you're just going to change it because you're going to wish it away or say some positive words and it goes away. We have to go, like I said, pulling those weeds up at the root. We have to go into, well, what actually got you to this point? What actually
Right.
caused this? So you
Right.
have family, you have society, you also have your own core beliefs about money. All the experiences that you had with money, whether they were, like I said, like Donald Trump, he had money is there. I could have money anytime I want money. So that's his experience with money, but also your personal core beliefs have to do with what you've experienced with money throughout your
Right.
life. So if money has been hard for you to get, it's hard for you to get out of that core belief. And that's one of the things that we work with. The
Okay.
other factor is that there could be a spiritual component between you and money. So when I say spiritual components, people come in with what I call spiritual contracts. Okay, so like the young lady that I talked about that had this whole hardship thing, that was a spiritual contract between her and her entire generation around money. That if we do something, it's got to be hard. And then when I told her, I said, you have this component of hardship, she said, oh my God, my entire family is that way.
I've never heard it stated spiritual contract, but now that you've explained it,
Mm-hmm.
I understand.
Yeah.
I,
Because when we decide that because we choose, like we said, we're given free will and we're given choice. So we choose to have this earthly experience. We're a
Right.
spirit. Our soul, our spirit is eternal. It doesn't die. So what do you do with eternity? You have various experiences. So this is one of the experiences that our soul, our spirit is deciding to have.
yes.
So when we decide we're coming here, we it's like you said, I'm going to come here. I'm going to be with this family. And I always say people always associate with a specific soul group. Like take, for instance, like the Jackson 5. The
Mhm.
whole family was musical.
Yes.
If you ever notice, like people come into families that support whatever they're doing.
Right.
The entire family was musical. The dad became the manager. He pushed the kids to rehearse and they became, musical superstars. Right? But you look at the entire family's that way. You ever notice like entire families, they're all doctors, or they're all policemen, or they're all lawyers and politicians. Like people come back with that level of support. So I call them like soul groups. That's what I call them. They people seem to congregate in a. So you start looking around at your family and the people you associate with. They pretty much support whatever purpose you came back here to do.
Hmm.
That's what I mean about soul groups. If that makes sense.
It does make sense, but I also would say that there are people that either don't fit into the group that they're with, or they choose
Called the black sheep of the
a
family.
different, yeah. And there are people that
Okay.
literally,
I was the one that didn't fit in. My group was kind of clustered together. Like, don't go anywhere. Don't leave. Just stay here. Let's all be safe. Let's huddle together. And I was like, nah, I want to go and see what's going on over there. So I was like the oddity in the family
yes,
because I was all so yeah. But then you also make that soul contract that for some reason, maybe the friction of all of that pushes you to do something. So you come
yes,
back to that, even though if you don't feel I don't fit,
yes,
that not fitting is part of that contract that you said, I need a little bit of pressure to
yeah,
get me to do this because all of a sudden I'm uncomfortable. I can't do this.
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
So
yes.
even if it's not pleasant, it's still part of that contract.
Okay.
I have seen people that I've worked with over the years, and they have some of the strangest contracts. Oh my goodness. You know, your contract is that no matter what, you can't leave this person and you're going to serve this person. And I mean, they're fighting like cat and dogs, and you're like, why don't you all just separate? And they
Yes.
can't because that was part of their contract that they'll never leave one another.
Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah. So it's that's why I said looking at it from a more spiritual perspective, because if you just look at it on the physical and the material plane, it makes no sense. But when you take a wider angle, a wider lens and look at it, and you start looking at it from a spiritual perspective, you start to see that, oh, that's where these two people come together. They have this commitment that they have made
Right,
on that level. And
right.
so they're honoring that commitment, no matter how bizarre it may look to us.
Forget the bizarre, no matter how abusive, no matter how toxic, no matter how unhealthy, no matter just how, as one of my favorite people says, nonsensical. That is nonsensical.
Yeah.
So, yes.
And then if you're dealing with those types of issues,
Yeah.
this is a little tangent from what we're talking about. It may be, I find when I'm dealing with that, it's usually an issue of power. When you're dealing with that type of, because for some reason, the victim and the perpetrator has this, and it's for the victim to finally take on their own power. And when they take on their own power, it's like, okay, you're repeating third grade over and over and over and over again until you get to the point where, oh, you got it. You've got to stand in your own power. And when that victim shifts into that, then that relationship easily dissolves. But
Is that how you are helping people with the process of getting into a healthier relationship with money? How do you, because you said you have noted that you were given this title, 17 ways that people beep up their money. And I'm doing just a beep because I don't need to add an actual sound. I could just say beep.
They know what you mean.
Beep up their money. So those 17 ways that happens. And then you say, but how you can fix it?
Yeah.
How do you get it back? How do you fix it?
How you can fix it is that what I do, I go in there and I find out the reason why. That's number one. I gotta, you're here, you're having this problem. And by the time people come and see me, Marion, they've been everywhere. I start calling my clinic. I start saying, like you see those old Westerns and it's the last saloon or the last one. I became the last resort clinic. That's what I nicknamed my clinic. Because people have been everywhere and done everything by the time they come and see me.
Wow.
And they'll tell me what they did. And I said, yeah, that should have worked. That didn't work. Yeah, I know what you're talking. I actually know that practitioner. They're very good. That should have worked, and it didn't. And I got the reputation in Orlando that if you can't figure out what the heck is going on with your patient or client, send them to Akyiaa. It's probably something strange, and she'll get to the bottom of it, and then they'll be straight. And that was my reputation. So it became like a last resort. So could you go back to your question? Because I kind of lost something.
Yeah. I said that you noted that there were 17 ways that people beep up their money. So if there are 17 ways, you also noted that you know how.
Yeah. So I find out the reason why what they've already done hasn't worked. And I said, if you've done these things, which is the proper thing to do based on your symptoms or your condition, then let's find out it's got to be something deeper than that. So when I work with a person, I intuitively look at them. So I do a form of what we call medical intuition, where I could look at the person. And if it's something like, say, internal, like going on within their body, I could actually see, oh, you have this particular organ and this thing, it's not showing up on your test, but this is what's going on. If it's something emotional, I could sense, oh, you're dealing with an emotional pattern. We have to get to that. If it's a spiritual problem, then I could see that it's on that level. So when you think about a person, most of the time, most people look at things very, like we have specialization in medicine. So most people look at things like, I have a mental issue, I have a physical issue, I have so they try to find the solution within that. But it could be something, let's say you have a spiritual issue, but it's showing up as a physical issue. It could be a mix and a match of things going on. So then what my job is to do is say, okay, where is this actually stemming from? That's what I mean about getting, yanking the whole thing up at the roots. Because I'm like, yeah, it's showing up as a physical issue. So maybe you're suffering from these major migraines, but it's because you're not following your spiritual path. And so let's get out of your way why you're terrified of following your spiritual path. And when they start doing that, the migraines, everything, all of that disappears. So that's the work that I do with people.
So let's get out of your way. You said, let's get out of your way. So you help people figure out internally what avenue this issue is coming about for them.
Yeah, but they don't figure it out. I clear the energy that they have around it. So let me back up. When I say I clear the energy, because it's not something, if I say, okay, Marion, your issue is a spiritual issue, you'd be like, oh, what? What do you mean? What are you talking about, Akyiaa? My spiritual? What does that even mean? So what I would see is the energy that got it stuck. So think about this. Let's say, for instance, we're using some crazy glue or something, and your fingers got stuck together like this. What my thing is that, and you can't figure out, you're going there and something's wrong with my fingers, and you're going everywhere and everybody's trying everything. And I'm like, oh, you just need the specific solvent in order to remove the glue. So my thing is to find out where the things are stuck at. And normally it's where the energy is stuck at. Because you ever felt like, oh, I'm trying to do something and all of a sudden I just feel like I'm pushing up against this force or this energy. I can't explain what it is, but I can feel it. That's the type of stuff that I see with people. I say, oh, we got to remove that from your energy field, or we got to remove that from your body, or whatever is going on in your mind. Every time, you like in the Bible, they say you backslide, you're going forward, and all of a sudden, the thing that makes you backslide is not the backsliding of itself. That's my issue. It's the thing, the energy that's making you backslide. That's the thing that I clear, because you don't know what that is. So I can't make them figure out. I just have to look at it, see what it is, and see, okay, how do we need to clear this particular energy pattern that this person has?
Okay.
Does that make sense what I'm saying?
It is a lot to wrap my mind around. It is.
It's a different way of looking at things. Yeah.
Yes.
It's effective. Because you've tried everything else, nothing else has worked. Let's find out what's keeping it all stuck together. Let's figure out, this is the crazy glue got you stuck like this. Let's figure out what the actual solvent you need to release that. And so that's a description of what I'm doing.
So give me an example of a student whose life you impacted, but in turn, how you helped them and how they were able to resolve the issue actually impacted you.
Well, I get really happy. I'm like Mama Bear. I'm like, you're winning, yeah! Win. So I get to like the Mama Bear. I'm like, yeah, you did it! Woohoo! So that's usually the impact on my side. But I find this happens a lot. Like you say, you yank up a weed, then the other little baby weeds that would have came up, that whole root system is gone, so they can't come up. So I had a young lady, and she took the money and the purpose course. She was very, she was really between a rock and a hard place. She's like, Akyiaa, I am running out of money. I'm not even sure if I have the money to pay for this course, but I'm going to take it on faith. And she said it was between this course and buying new tires for her car. That was the decision she had to make. But she went ahead, she took the course. We found out what was blocking her from fulfilling her purpose, because it was a money and purpose class. So we really dug into what was stopping her and how she was devaluing herself and how she wasn't seeing the importance of what she had to do. We got her past that and we helped her to clear that up. Before the course was over, she booked a client, because I said, purpose is really about service. It's the service that you're here to do. So we may look at it, sales, marketing, all of these things. I said, look at it from a perspective that this is how I serve people. This is how I help people with the gift that I've been given. So she started looking at it from that perspective. And she booked a client before the class was over. She said she hadn't had a few clients in months. And then the next thing, she texted me back after the course was over. And she said, I had 3 new clients booked the week after the course was over. 1 during the course, so she had 4 new clients. After she said, I haven't had a bunch of clients in months. And she said, but the biggest benefit to her was that all of a sudden she had this connection with her family that she's never had. Mm-hmm. She said, I don't know what shifted, but all of a sudden I'm getting along well with my family. I feel like I fit in with my family. All of a sudden we're getting along better. And she said that to her was even more important than just, get new clients and get new business. So, so that's why I said, I had clients call it bonus healing.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we didn't even work on this, but I also got that. So they always go, it's like, we got a bonus healing. So that happens quite a lot. But when you clear up one area of your life, other areas clear up also.
Okay.
And my thing is to find out, what do we need to clear up?
Yes.
I'm like the cleanup woman, like that song. You're a singer, the cleanup woman.
What? Come on here.
The cleanup woman. I just come in there, clean up. Well, let's clear that up.
My goodness. My goodness. Well, I thank you for being here with us, Miss Clean Up Woman.
Yep.
I appreciate
and
you.
I tell people, I say, we got to clear it up, and part of the process I do is called a clearing. We clear up that energy where you're stuck.
Yes.
So, yeah.
So I appreciate you coming in and sharing this different perspective on money and your relationship with money and how that relationship affects everything, even going back and giving a historical place of how money came into be, why people think the things that they think about money, and the different aspects of where we're learning, either paying attention or not paying attention. So consciously, subconsciously learning, you're still absorbing the information,
And one thing I didn't mention, we went over your familial history with money, your societal, your core beliefs, your spiritual aspects of money, and we didn't talk about money itself, because money has a life of its own. It has its own energy. So is your energy resonating with money or not? Trump's does. With all the stuff he goes through, he has an energy that resonates with money. And you don't have to do money the way he does money, but then you see certain people, it doesn't matter what they do, they could screw everything up. And money is not an issue. And some people, like you said, they're working really hard. But it's like, you got to work really hard for the money, but the focus is on the hard work, not the money. Because that's the concept. Yeah. And that is one of the other 17 ways, is just work hard for your money.
Right.
Money doesn't grow on trees. Money is the root of all evil. All these concepts we have about money. If I'm spiritual, I don't need money.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have a lot of strange concepts. And that's why I said these relationships we have with money based on the consciousness and the way we perceive ourselves and money and all the things we tell ourselves about money. That's what messes up the money and us. So the course is finding out, why do you even feel that way? Let's just clear it up. The cleanup woman is here. I like that thing. I'm a cleanup woman.
Yeah.
We're going to clean that pattern out right now. So we're yanking that weed out. I'm like the gardener and the cleanup woman.
Okay. Come on here with the green thumb and just put a
Exactly.
little dollar bill on it
Yes.
with your face.
Yeah.
All right. I just
Oh, this
want,
is
before
fun.
you get out of here, could you tell our Confident You listeners how they can have an opportunity to work with you, or just all the great things that you do?
Okay. So if hi everyone, if you'd like to work with me, you could reach me. I at Instagram. I am at Azula Creation. On Facebook, you could reach me with my name, and on YouTube at Akyiaa Azula. And if you want to get in touch with me, those are the ways to reach me, especially Instagram. And you can also contact me through my email, elmina@azulacreation.com. You can send me an email, or you could reach out to me with DMs. I'd love to work with you. I'm still in the process. Me and my team are still in the process of putting together this 17 ways you have. This is Marion's show where you have bleeped up your money or fudged up your money, and how to fix it. I will have that course. And when I say that I work with people to get rid of whatever the pattern is permanently, we will be doing that in the course. It's not something where you have to go learn a whole bunch of stuff and go do things. No, we are doing the work right there in the course itself. So when you come and take the course, you could better believe that you'll see changes in your money pattern. I did do a course before. It was called the Money Course years ago. And we went over these ways that people were messing up their money. And guess what? People came back and said, I got more clients, I got more money, different things started happening. So I'm designing the course to make sure that you win. Because like I said, my greatest joy is to see people win. So let's get you winning around money. If you're stuck around money, this will be the course for you, and I will be announcing it. And when I do have the course up, I will put this in the description box for Marion so you can check back, or we will make an announcement somehow to everyone. And thank you so much for having me here.
Oh, thank you for being here. And yes, Confident You family, we will get that information out to you. She will let me know. I will happily announce that on the present episode in that time, and then put the information in this episode description box with that drop date. So it'll always be there for you to be able to go back and get that information. Akyiaa.
This was so much fun.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Always a great educational moment with you. My goodness.
I am quite curious. I kept saying nerd, but she said, you're not a nerd, you're curious.
You're curious. Yes, when you kept saying, I'm a nerd, I'm like, no, you're just curious. Some people don't take the steps to find the actual information, to put in the energy to do that research. And so that's valuable.
And I love doing the research.
Yes.
Like
there's so
I'm always researching something. It's so funny. Remember when apps first came out, and people are getting games and all types of stuff, and all of mine was like history apps, medical apps. My kids looked at like, your phone is boring, Mom.
Yeah, that's not the phone. That's not the phone. They're gonna hand that back. Like, no, you can have that. Don't worry. No one's stealing this, and if they do, they're gonna bring it back.
Yeah.
No, you need this. You need yes. You need this. So I want to thank you for being here. But before you get out of here, I do want to say two things. I want to say, you said, I was thinking this should be a book. I think this should definitely be a book. So I would love for you to do that.
I am looking at doing the book, but like I said, everything that I do is very guided.
Yes.
And so the reason why I'm doing the course before the book, I know there's 17 ways you have bleeped up your money. I was also taught there is a bonus of 10 more ways you're bleeping up your money and not realizing it. There is what to do if other people are bleeping up your money. So I've gotten like information that, okay, so it's gone past the 17 ways
Yes.
actually. And I am looking at working with people because I'm sure there's ways that I haven't even thought about. So by doing the course and working with people and really digging in with the patterns that are stopping them, to me,
Mhm.
that will inform the book. So
Yes.
I'm looking more to have more data because
Yes.
I'm the research
Research.
scientist. So we'll just from doing the courses themselves and helping people get past those
Yes.
patterns. To me, that's what the book would be more geared towards.
Yes.
I could give people a list and it won't do anything for them. So I
You
want people to be able to pick up the book and it'll be similar like if they were in the course. And
Yeah.
then eventually I'd want to make the course available to anyone. So anybody could go and take the course at any time. So I'll most likely teach the course several times
Yes.
before I do the book and before I do that. But I am creating an ebook called Money Mastery that goes with the course.
Yes.
Because Money Mastery is all the practical things you have to do to make money, keep money, grow money, like all those things that are the practical things, like savings, your money, like that will have all the debt, credit. It'll be Money Mastery will be about that. And the question with Money Mastery is this: because money is straightforward and a simple thing to do, why can't we do it? So you're given all the guidelines. If you want money, here's what everybody will tell you. It's not to be a financial planner or a financial
Right.
advisor. I'm not doing that, and that's a disclaimer with it. But if you want to have money, these are the steps. If you
Okay.
can't do these steps easily, then come and take the course so we can
Right.
clear up whatever's stopping you from doing these simple things.
Right. The last thing I would like for you to do is to give just two confident tips on either one of the ways that we bleep up our money or how we can get that back. How we can fix that.
One of the ways that we could fix, and this is 2 tips. One of the ways that you could fix what's going on with money, I would say everything gets fixed by the action that you take. Sometimes you cannot take the action because you've got some reason why you're stuck. So by taking the course, we will get you unstuck. So you could easily take the action. But even if you take the course and you take no action on anything, you'll still be in the same spot. It's not going to change anything. So let's say you're someone that, money burns a hole in your pocket and you just, money runs through your fingers like water. We'll have to find out why you have that pattern, correct that pattern, and then put you on not a diet, but put you in a way that you have a perspective with money where you can actually keep money and you can actually start to grow money. So that would be one of the tips that I would say. So that would be one of the actions, to find out the action you have to take. One of the tips, the action you have to take around money. And the other thing that I would tell people is that we have this concept about everything, that everything is this struggle and it's hard and it's all of that. And to get them to start thinking, where could I find more ease? How could I make this more easier for myself? So instead of thinking that everything's going to be this big, hard uphill struggle, start thinking and asking questions around, how could I actually make this easier? How could I create ease in this situation? You'll be surprised what will change when you start thinking that way.
Amazing. How can you make this easy? Well, you made this easy. You are a wealth of knowledge and experience, and I appreciate the purpose, the service that you provide to everyone. I'm grateful that to have you to be able to come here and share with the Confident You family. Thank you so much for accepting this offer.
Thank you for having me, Marion. I really appreciate it. And this was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this.
Yes. All right. So just stay in the back for me. I'll be right with you. All right, everyone. Azula Creation was here to tell us how we are messing up our money. and just the different ways. So it's more than just you're spending too much, you're not saving enough. She wants to get to the root of the issue, and she knows the different areas in our lives where those weeds might be growing. She wants to help you pull those up and kill those baby weeds so they don't choke you out either, so that you can not only start to you can start to make money, keep money, and grow that money. It's amazing that she's connecting money to the realm of your mind, your body, your relationship with money, and your purpose, which she is calling so eloquently your service to the world and those people that God has purposed for you to serve. Thank you so much for joining us here on Confident You podcast. Don't want to get out of here without giving my give back. If you are, or you know someone who is suffering at the hand of domestic violence, my girl Tiffany over at Bethany House is here to help. Please call Bethany House at 1-888-80-HELPS. That's 43577. I would say put that number in your phone. You run into someone in your family or you're in a situation, that's a great number to have. You can also call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-SAFE. That's 7233. Again, make sure you like, share, subscribe. You can follow me on Instagram, Facebook at Marion Swingler. And you can also follow Confident You _podcast on Instagram, Y_, because there is so much more to come. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Thank you so much for taking the time in this space to join us and tap in to all that we have here to offer. I pray that it is giving you great value. See you next time.